Hello again, Steve here. Police story number 3. Very quick one. I won't go into too much depth on this one, but it is a story and it is mildly amusing. The police officers, certainly of the 70s and the 80s, had to wander around with the most inappropriate kit you could ever think of. You had this stupid bubble on your head, and it would never stay on. Every time you bent down, it would fall off. There was a little strap that went around here, but that was completely useless. And eventually, after the miners' strike, they did give us helmets that had straps that went down and buckled up underneath, but to be honest, they looked stupid. And of course we had the truncheon, that's all we had, a bit of wood. I've got a very good story about how I cracked my truncheon over somebody's head. But that's for another time. So anyway, refreshments. You get an hour in every 8-hour shift. I mean, in those days we worked 3 sets of shifts really. It was 6 to 2, 2 to 10 and 10 to 6 overnight. I'll just wait for this tractor to go past. As you can see, I live in the country. How lovely is that? Yeah, brilliant. I've got no light pollution here. And, you know, if you see a car, oh, wow, you see a tractor, it's slightly different. So, anyway, refs, yeah. So, during your shift, you'd have refs. And usually, most of us, I mean, we were all in our 20s, well, most of us were in our 20s, early 20s, so, you know, there wasn't even the slightest thought about preparing anything and taking it with you. So, ultimately, you survived on fish and chips and fast food. Another car. Busy today. Yeah, fast food. So, this particular day, this particular day, I hadn't brought any refs in, and so at 5 o'clock I went down to the local kebab shop and got myself a nice doner kebab. You know, we were really healthy in those days. So I got that, and you're not allowed to, again in those days, you weren't allowed to be carrying anything when you were on duty. You were on duty and that was it. So, just let it go. Hiya, Postal. So, yeah, the kebab shop. So I bought my kebab, I wrapped it up in paper, and what you do is you put it under your helmet, on your head, and your helmet on top, and nobody was any the wiser that you were carrying something that you shouldn't be carrying. Very, very strict in those days. So I left the kebab shop, and as I left, over the personal radio, I got a call. A lady had fallen over and requires assistance in the town centre. No one else available, so could you go and sort it out? Which I did. I went to her and she had fallen over and she was slightly injured. And I was bending over the lady, my hat was still on, and I could feel this trickle of sweat running down my forehead. And I thought, that's odd. Then I felt another trickle running down the other side. And before too long, I had quite a lot of sweat coming down my face. And people started looking at me a bit strangely, to say the least. Anyway, I didn't think anything more of it. Got back to the nick. The lady had recovered and was back on her feet and was perfectly okay. And so I headed back to the nick. It's quite busy here today. There's a lorry as well. Hardly ever see lorries here, but anyway. So, headed back to the Nick. Actually, I'll just show you this lovely view going down into my village. I don't know if you can see that. I'll show you a bit more when we get closer. Yeah, so I got back to the Nick and got quite a few strange looks. And so I said to one of the officers that was in the front office, I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "Go and have a look in the toilet, in the mirror." So I did. I looked in the mirror and I basically had streams of brown liquid staining my forehead, going all the way down my face, down my cheek, everywhere. It was absolutely horrendous. And it's where the kebab juices had basically come out of the paper, and due to the fact that they'd soaked through, eventually ended up down the side of my face. So there you go. It's another embarrassing story. Oh, hang on. And of course, not only that, but my helmet could be smelt from... There's another view of the village, isn't it lovely? My helmet, which used to reside in my locker, was the cause of many complaints because you could smell it from about 100 yards. But eventually it went. But there was just another little story for you. And I think the next story, probably a little bit more of a serious one, where you know, I mentioned about the truncheon breaking, and it's quite an interesting, serious story. In those days, the truncheons. Look at this view. Let's just get this. Wow. The truncheons were almost made of balsa wood. They were done like that for a purpose, because obviously they didn't want anybody killed, and you know, so if you make it out of balsa wood, which is going to slap, you sort of, there's less chance of somebody dying as a result of a police officer hitting them over the head. But I can tell you, they did split easy. And I had a very nasty encounter with a gentleman with an iron bar. So when a stick meets an iron bar, the stick breaks. Simple. And so that's another story for another day. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that one. That's story number 3, I think. And still plenty more to come. If you're enjoying them. If you're not, well, I'm quite used to talking to myself. Sometimes I actually answer myself back, so, you know, there's nothing lost. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Let me just give you another quick view of my lovely village here. Absolutely gorgeous. Best place to live. I'll see you next time. Take care. God bless.